How are you doing? This is Martin from Gardens for Life. Happy spring, everybody. In this video we're going to just discuss overwintering kale a little bit and why bother growing kale? Well, for several reasons. You can feed it to your livestock, but also it's delicious. Different kales do better than others, especially the perennial ones, of course. And before we get into that, I just want to let you know that our winter selection is slowly but surely dwindling away as spring comes in now. So in the next couple of weeks is going to be your last chance to grab some tubers or cuttings or bare root plants as well off our website. So take a look. And we also have a homesteading workshop day coming up next weekend. So if you're watching this video when it comes out and you're interested and you're in Ireland, it might be worth checking out our website on the homesteading workshop day as well. So this is our no-dig garden that we just established last year, fairly late in the summer. So we didn't quite get the full growing season into it last year, but therefore we have it all set up this year. So you can see here there's several different types of kale here. This is the Taunton Dean kale, which is definitely the new favourite. Portuguese kale is not quite as hardy. This is hardier in the winter. We had temperatures of -8 and it still did fine. And we had good greens to harvest all winter. And you can see here the wind actually popped off one of these branches here, so we'll just take that. And we can simply use that as cuttings, and also we can use the leaves as well. We like to feed the leaves to our chickens. And I'll just show you how to make a new cutting from that. So this particular type of kale actually does not go to seed, it never flowers, and it's perennial. So you can just take a cutting. Say, for example, you can take the heel at the bottom is good because there is more stem cells in it. So you just cut above a leaf node here and you simply take that cutting and you simply stick it into the ground. And that's it. Literally, that's going to grow into a plant this size after only maybe half a year or so. When you're growing red Russian kale, that's one of the annual kales, or any other annual kale for that matter, you have to watch out when you overwinter it because it will go to seed once it has gone through a cold period. You can see here, it's going to seed here now. It's going to start flowering. Now it's not a problem as such, but you're not going to get leaves anymore after that. You're just going to get basically the flowers and then the seeds, and then the plant finishes. And then you're going to get a new generation if you let it go to seed and if you let it spread itself in the garden. We do that in some places in our gardens. So we have self-seeded kale successfully for 4 years in a row. And of course it becomes hardier and hardier and more acclimatized to our local microclimates. And that builds resilience in the kale's DNA over time. So what we do here is if we don't want it to go to seed and we want more leaves for the time being, what we do is we just simply take the top off. So we just kind of go halfway down the plant and we just break it off, just like that. So that's the main seed head gone, and we can use that now in our cooking. And you can see here it's a fairly clean break as well, so that shouldn't cause any disease. And these plants usually do very well after you do that, after you cut off the top. You can see it's quite ornamental too. The red Russian kale is one of our favourites, and it does grow quite large leaves too sometimes, as you can see here. Great greens to have, especially red Russian kale actually grows even through the winter. It grows at temperatures of above 4 degrees Celsius, and it germinates at temperatures above 12 degrees Celsius. We do have other types of kale too, like this Siberian kale. It doesn't do quite as well last year. Once your annual kales actually go to seed, you can only keep them going for so long by using this technique, if you want to even call it that. So the best thing to do is you can have some kale plants that are overwintering if you want to get seeds or the flowering heads, especially for early insect food. They're great. Brassica, all brassicas actually are great for early flowering plants or early sources of nectar for insects. The other thing you can do is start new plants from seed and get those going so that you have leaves during the summer and throughout the autumn. And you can start some later overwintering kales a little bit later in the year. We usually just leave our kale plants overwintering anyway, and if they make it through the winter, then we use them, and if not, that's okay. We'll just start new ones in the spring. You can see here, these could do with a bit of topping as well. So we're going to do that here again, and then we're going to get lots of little leaves all around the plant. Here's some red Russian kale that I planted just by scattering some seed. You can see they're a little too dense. Definitely I would recommend to grow any kind of plants at all, actually, especially vegetables or perennials or flowers. If you grow them from seed, grow them in trays first, because scattering seed is an awful waste, I think, unless you have loads of it. Like we had a good bit of seed, so we did a little experiment in this corner of the garden, and they didn't grow quite that big, and you can see lots of little plants, and they're kind of lanky compared to these ones that have been grown in a tray and then planted out somewhat at the correct spacing. But they're definitely stronger plants, and I think even overall, because you have more height in them, you're going to get more productivity because you're catching more sunlight rather than just having them as dense as that. There's also the Portuguese kale here. Portuguese kale has always been one of our favourites, or the favourite, because you can grow it from seed, but you can also grow it from a cutting in the very same way. You simply take your secateurs, and we'll just take this one here, for example. This one is grown onto the pad, so we're going to cut it. So we just cut it off there. What we'll do is we'll just get one good cutting out of it, maybe two. So we cut the bottom off at an angle, and we cut the top off. We'll just use the leaves for something else. Actually, we'll get two cuttings out of this one. There. No. Okay. So this is a cutting. It'll grow from the leaf node. You simply shove it in the ground. That's all there's to it. And there's another one. There you go. That'll make a new plant. It'll root and it'll grow into a new plant, and then even the original stalk might actually come back as well. And never leave dead plant material in the garden, because of course that's going to attract the slugs. So we're going to take that away. So kale, generally speaking, actually overwinters really well. You end up with plenty of leaves over the winter with some of the varieties. Others just kind of sit there on standby, and a lot of the leaves will actually recede throughout the winter. What you can do though is you can grow other varieties that actually carry through all the way to spring a lot better. The quality of the leaves will be a lot better throughout the cold season. So that's when you want your greens the most, of course. That's when they're at their rarest. Chard is really good too, but if it goes to -7 or 8 in the winter, it does suffer a lot. You won't have a lot of leaves until spring, and I'll show you that now. You can see here, this entire area was actually covered in chard before, and now it's kind of died back a bit after the winter. It's coming back now. So you can see it is doing quite well now, and the plants are bouncing back. I'm expecting these plants to actually go to seed now in this summer. If they do, that's okay, but we'll probably just cut them back and grow new ones before that happens, because we don't want our entire garden to be covered in chard either. And there's one last type of kale. Now these ones were planted a little late in the year, last year, but this is Nero or Black Tuscany or dinosaur kale, several names for it. We found a better variety than it is actually a copy of it, and it's called Black Magic, and it has larger leaves. You can see it didn't do too well, and it's already going to seed, so we're probably just going to take it up and plant something else in its place. So that's it, just a quick video on kale today. And if you have any comments or any questions about kale, or if you use kale, let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching the video, and we'll see you the next time. Bye bye.